This video was brought to you by Brilliant. The effects of Israel's war in Gaza have reverberated around the world. But new economic data has revealed the extent to which Israel's economy has been damaged, plunging nearly 20% in the final quarter of last year. And to add to the government's economic woes, Israel last week was hit by its first ever credit downgrade, complicating the government's plan to borrow near record levels to fund the war. So in this video, we're going to look at Israel's economy, why it was already under pressure before the invasion of Gaza, what the effect of the war has actually been, and how it might fare going forwards. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. Firstly then, let's start with a bit of context on Israel's economy. Despite some hiccups, Israel's economy is generally very strong. Now, we made a video where we go into some detail on Israel's economic history, so go and check that out if you want more detail. But the TLDR is, despite suffering an economic crisis after declaring independence in 1948, and after the Yom Kippur War in 1973, since the 70s, Israel's economy has grown rapidly, with the help of US support and a booming tech sector. Israel now has one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world, and is widely considered to be the most developed country in the region. However, since last year, even before the invasion of Gaza, Israel's political chaos put its economy under strain. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial reforms completely divided Israelis, and the direction of Israeli politics shifting to the far right caused Israel's tech companies to shift operations abroad. Even before October 7th, the shekel was one of the world's worst performing currencies in 2023, going from roughly 3 shekel per dollar to nearly 4 in the year to August. After the attack, though, the shekel, of course, declined, falling past 4 shekels to the dollar. Since then, the shekel has recovered, currently trading at 3.6 to the dollar. However, in bad news for Israel, it was revealed earlier this week that the Israeli economy has still shrunk by nearly 20% in annualized terms in the final quarter of 2023, nearly double the forecast of a 10.5% slump that analysts had predicted. At this stage, we should point out the obvious. The impact of the war on Israel's economy has been dwarfed by the impact in Gaza. According to the World Bank, amid the quote, massive loss of life and catastrophic damage, the Palestinian economy has experienced one of the largest shocks recorded in recent economic history, with Gaza's GDP plummeting by more than 80%, while almost all economic activity in Gaza has ground to a halt. Anyway, why has so much of the Israeli economy shrunk? Well, firstly, private spending dropped by a huge 26.3%, as many businesses closed in the aftermath of October 7th amid security concerns. And consumer confidence also collapsed amid the instability. Plus, there has been a 67.8% slide in investment in fixed assets, especially in residential buildings. Meanwhile, government spending increased 88% in Q4 versus the previous period. Most of this money is going towards defense expenditure, subsidizing the wages of reservists, or supporting the 200,000 Israelis evacuated from the Gaza border area or the northern border with Lebanon. With airlines terminating flights and international shipping avoiding the Red Sea, imports of goods and services fell by 42%, while exports dropped 18%, with the diamond trade particularly affected. Tourism has also dropped, with the suspension of flights by airlines and the warnings from foreign governments not to travel to the region. The call-up of 360,000 reservists, depleting roughly 8% of the workforce, has also obviously had a big impact on the economy. And it's been forecast that around 30,000 small to medium-sized businesses in various sectors will suffer as a result. The construction sector, particularly reliant on Palestinians for its workforce, has also been devastated, as after October 7th, Israel quickly imposed a ban on nearly all Palestinian workers traveling into Israel. For reference, more than 150,000 Palestinian workers from the occupied West Bank used to enter Israel daily for work. The withdrawing of Palestinian work permits and the exodus of many other foreign workers has hit Israel's construction and agricultural sectors with serious labor shortages, something that the Israeli government is hoping to fill with Indian migrant workers. As a result of this shrinking economy and increased government spending, Israel's budget deficit is set to rise from 2.25% to 6.6% of GDP. Adding the difficulty is the fact that insuring against a default on Israeli debts has spiked in the last couple of months too. This led to a credit downgrade by Moody's, one of the big three credit rating agencies, which moved Israel down from A1 to A2. Now, A2 is still investment grade, but this downgrade shows the strain that this war is putting on Israel's economy, and was met with anger from the Israeli government, which we'll come on to later. As a result of this shift, though, borrowing costs are set to rise. Not dramatically, but it will put a drag on the economy, as the government ramps up on borrowing to fund its war. In fact, Israel actually received a double whammy this February, as Moody's also lowered Israel's debt outlook to negative, pointing to the potential for the conflict to spread to a northern front against Hezbollah in Lebanon. However, Israel still closed 2023 with a growing economy, with GDP up 2% in 2023 from 2022, thanks to pre-war growth pushing the overall number up, albeit a lower number than the original forecast 3.5% growth. So there's obviously a lot more than just the macroeconomic figures behind Moody's downgrade. There's obviously also the political risks arising from the war, which will weaken Israel's fiscal strength, namely the government's prolongation of the war and its rejection of international diplomatic proposals for dealing with the aftermath. Now, this has really angered the Israeli government, with the finance minister criticizing Moody's decision as a political manifesto, and Netanyahu arguing that the downgrade is based on theoretical situations not at all related to the economy. He assured the public and investors that the credit rating will improve once we win the war. Finally, Moody's decision was in part informed by what will become of the government after the conflict ends, and that's far from clear. Moody's report says that Israel may face a period of elevated domestic political upheaval and renewed polarization when the war cabinet dissolves. And that's an easy scenario to imagine. There are already protests demanding early elections, and polls suggest that Israelis consider themselves to have shifted right in their values since the October 7th attacks. Though in terms of voting intention, it looks likely that centre to centre-right parties will surge, while Netanyahu's Likud party falls back. Ultimately, the Israeli economy has, over the years, proven its ability to recover from war and conflict. But the main questions now are how quickly this war can come to an end, with the Israeli government indicating that it will continue for some time yet. Also, will it remain contained in Gaza? Or, for example, will it spread north to Lebanon? And will post-war Israeli politics bring calm or unleash instability as Benjamin Netanyahu is finally forced to reckon with his deep unpopularity? A lot of stuff in our videos can often seem pretty complicated, especially when we dive deep into detailed data and economics. But there's a fun and easy way for you to learn more about these topics, which doesn't cost thousands of dollars a year or take years of studying. That's because Brilliant is the best way to learn maths, data science, and computer science interactively. And the fun thing is that it doesn't take long to learn either. These complex topics are broken down into small and accessible chunks, designed around your busy schedule, whatever your skill level. That means that if you spend just a few minutes a day, you can gain new knowledge over time in an actually fun way. As time goes on, you'll get used to that feeling of learning too, because it isn't just about sitting down and reading. Brilliant teaches you by doing, using active learning to teach you the principles of otherwise quite complex topics, and ensuring that you understand what's actually going on. So whether you want to brush up on your basic math skills, improve your employment prospects by learning about future technology, or just have fun coding, then you can check out everything that Brilliant has to offer for free for 30 days by clicking the link below. Plus, the first 200 people to sign up will get 20% off Brilliant's premium annual subscription. Thank you so much for your support.